So first thing, public speaking is the #1 fear in America, and death is #2. When you're speaking, your job is really to present an experience. It's really about working. And there was a great quote by Maya Angelou, and I'm going to read that one. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's really what a presentation is about. It's about connecting to people. Now, I was kind of blown away a little bit when Kathy said to me, "Can you do a little talk on this because you're so good at it?" And I said, "Wow, I've never had someone say that to me before. That was the first. And I want to give you a little bit of background about me. When I was young, I shut myself down. Talking to people, even walking in a room and introducing myself and shaking hands with somebody and saying, 'Hi, my name is Tyna,' would absolutely put me into a panic. I would freeze. So it took me a long time to be that way. I didn't want to do that. What I wanted was to be able to express myself, but I was way too afraid to do it. So I want to tell you all, you can get over this. I've gone through the years now where I do presentations for the stage. I teach in a class. I teach in learning circles. I get up on stage and introduce people all the time. I've co-chaired and also worked in committees on statewide campaigns where I've actually spoken on the steps of the Capitol. I've gone in and testified in committees, in front of councils. I've run boards. Just a whole diverse experiences of speaking to people. And that has taken some time. The poise or the lack of panic, it took some time to get rid of it. It took some time to gain the poise. And learning how to speak, especially when you're in front of a group of very powerful people, when you go and testify, or sitting in an editorial board and trying to persuade a newspaper to choose your side and endorse you. These kind of things. There's someone else doing this?
I just muted them.
So my background's quite varied, and this has been a passion of mine to move out of this fear place and to step on stage. So when they say public speaking is the #1 fear in America, I would have said that was true. I would have rather died than gotten up and spoken in front of a group of people. So what I've learned over the years is that there's some simple things that I really want to help. I really want to thank my husband Larry because he came in and he actually had a little presentation that he shared with me, and it was one that spurred the moment. Someone asked him, "Can you stand up and talk to people and tell them about public speaking, because you're a very good public speaker?" And he drafted this whole script in just a couple minutes. So that was actually, I was using the screen reading. It actually doesn't work very well. Okay. He's readjusting now. So anyway, I'll keep talking. So moving on to the next slide. What I was saying, tip 1, speaking is actually very simple. It's about the energy, it's about connection, and it's about communication. And it's also about calling out the white elephant in the room. When something happens, it's like things are just funny. I forget, I think Kathy's the one that had the touch to make it work. That's why I didn't touch it earlier.
You want me to try?
Yeah, why don't you? Anyway, speaking simple, and things happen while you're doing it. So you have to laugh about it just a little bit. But it's about the energy, connection, and communication. It's about you managing the energy in the space, pulling the energy up in you, coordinating the flow of what's happening in a room. It's about connecting with the people heart to heart, authentically. It's about being real, about telling your story, and it's about communicating your message clearly. And the one thing about communication is if you don't know what you're talking about, you need to prepare yourself. If someone says, you need to get up and I need you to come talk to this meeting, I need you to give this presentation, then that's what you have to do. You've got to practice, you've got to get ready. We're still playing with the screen. This is sort of funny. You know, they can see it on the other screen. It's this group here, I think that they're just going to have to see the top. And the only thing is the little tips, but most of the other stuff is down below. So this works. They can see it on the screen, I think. Anyway, next one. So tip one, it's simple. It's about the energy. It's about what you're presenting, communicating, being clear, connecting with people. So you are the person who sets the energy in the room. You have to be able to hold that energy in the room. When you come in, even speaking to a meeting or coming in and speaking to a city council, you don't want them to make you feel intimidated, out of control. You set your energy, you set their energy. One of the things we learned how to do when we were doing the political campaigns is we went in and we had actual political training. In other words, how do you put a spin on something so it always comes back the way that you want to? You always started out with only about between 1 and 6 speaking points that you were going to talk about. And they taught you, no matter what question was asked, you were always able to redirect to the answer that you wanted to give based on one of the speaking points that you wanted to touch on. So this is about holding the energy. This is what we're talking about when we say, you've got the points, you have what you want to say, you want to present it to people, and you stay in that focus, you stay on track. You want to make a connection with people. So it's kind of like eye to eye, heart to heart. I can walk up closer to the camera and talk to you and be sincere in how I feel. I can walk up to each person in the room and make a heart to heart connection. Connecting with the eyes. One of the trainings I was in, you walked on the stage and before you even said a word, you gazed at the audience. You just stopped, smiled, and looked at everybody.
It usually.
And you held that focus for a minute, and then you went into what you wanted to say. It's also important to know that whatever you're talking about isn't about you. It's not about how do I look, how am I going to do this, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, any of that kind of thing. It's about your message. You have a message, you want to impart it. If you want to be authentic in what you're presenting, it has to come from the heart. For me, doing this work and working with Kathy is about raising the bar for people. It's about knowing that every single person has potential. They may not have all the skills, but they've got the potential. And every single person is this great, amazing, empowered person underneath. They just need it to be like tweaked out a little bit, or they need to learn the skills, or they need to learn how to do a presentation, or they need to learn how to put together a PowerPoint, or they need to learn how to work with a camera, or how to hold themselves. It's like they have to learn how to connect and share their message strong, powerful, and directed. And then someone said today, loud. Really loud. There's a lot of noise out there. So tip 2 is about being prepared. There's 2 quotes here I'm going to read, and I love this because Mark Twain was a storyteller, he was an orator, and he said, it usually takes me more than 3 weeks to prepare an impromptu speech. Always preparing, always knowing your material. You never know when you're going to be speaking to somebody, when someone's going to ask you a question, when someone will randomly ask you to get on stage. That happened to me before too. Can you get up and talk about your issue? And you needed to be ready. Also, the other one from Mark Twain, there's only 2 types of speakers in the world, the nervous and liars. So anyone who says, oh no, I'm not nervous, I don't have butterflies, I'm just fine. Even Tony Robbins says he's nervous before he goes out on stage. All the great speakers talk about it. And you need to be able to work through those nerves. So know you are not alone. Know that this is something that happens to everybody. So part of tip 2 in being prepared is you need to know your audience. You need to know who's coming. One of the reasons why you need to do that is a little bit further down in this on this slide is about how you're going to show up with appearance. If you don't know who your audience is going to be, you always want to dress like them or a little bit better than them. You don't want to walk into a room where everybody's wearing blue jeans and come in a 3-piece suit. It's going to make you feel uncomfortable. It's going to make them feel uncomfortable. Then again, you don't want to walk into a room of people that are dressed in tuxedos to give a presentation and show up with your work clothes on. So when you know your audience, you know how you need to show up. You need to know your space and your room and the stage. So if you're going to give a talk or someone asks you, either go ahead of time and take a look at the room or ask them about the setup so that you know what you're dealing with. The room that we're in right here is a little bit of a challenge. It's not exactly what I would want to do. It's a good teaching room. It's got 2 screens. It's got the ability to, but you have to stand in the middle generally between the 2 screens in order to talk to everybody, which is a little weird. A lot of times the setup is better when you have, you know, your slides off to the side and you've got the things that you need on a table next to you and you've got the space to move around. Also, you want to know how you're going to show up. What kind of energy do you need? When I teach a meditation class, I'm not going to walk into that room and be huge and loud and boisterous and things. I want to set the tone and the energy of the space. I want people to ground. I want people to feel comfortable. I want to welcome them gently. I want to bring them in and share the space with them. But when I get up on a stage and I'm talking and I'm presenting, I want to walk in and I want to hold the space. Like not wandering about and looking nervous or anything like that. I want to walk in and I want to hold the space. I prefer, some people prefer having a podium. I prefer not. I like to connect because anything you put between you and somebody else blocks the energy. So if you need something to put your notes on, you can put them on a side table. You can use a prompter or something, or you can use a music stand. This it can stay right now. So we had a little, we had this little piece right here, but I just wanted to see if you could feel the difference just by putting something, pretend it's on a table, but just by putting something in front of me.
And now you're a floating head.
Now I'm a floating head. Now I understand it with some politicians because I'm sure these things offer protection. I understand there's times, but when you think about what you do when you were in a classroom and the teacher sat behind the desk, or you go to a city council meeting and you've got all these people up on this dais and they're holding, it's really hard to connect.
Oh, yeah, they're not even looking at you.
They're not looking at you. They're looking at their papers. They're looking at other things. So you're working with things like that. And I'm not saying it's bad to have a podium. Some people are really comfortable with podiums. But if you can be more in your power out front and dealing one-on-one with people and looking them in the eye, it's much stronger connection than it is hiding behind something else. You need to know where and when to show or how to show up. So ask those details. What time do I need to be there? Is there prep? Can I see the room ahead of time? Am I going to be wearing a microphone? You ask those questions. Am I going to be on stage? What side of the stage would you like me on? Is there anything else I need to know? Do I have a time limit? And those are things you should ask ahead of time. How long of the talk do you want me to give? You have to have that kind of information, especially when you're preparing. So you need to know what you need, what tools, what props, microphones. I actually brought in, actually Larry did, a couple different ones. You might have a wired mic that's literally sitting on a stand that you have to work with. I can't see it here.
Mm-mm.
Really? Why is this not registering?
Everything's plugged in.
I know.
Don't know. It's one of those wonderful things that happens.
Well, if you,
Oh, do you need a screen share? You need a screen share.
I would have to be plugged in to screen share.
No, I need to screen share with me.
Oh, how do I do that?
Can you show her how to screen share? Sorry, we're having more technical difficulties. Thought we had them all done, but I will show you my slide.
Thank you. That way you would have been behind the pulpit.
We were blocked. We couldn't see the screen.
It's almost Easter. You could have.
Should be able to do it now. If you share your screen.
I was wondering why I wasn't getting peeps from here.
Yeah, the last time I think I forwarded it for you from.
Can you see it?
Yes. I can.
Oh.
Okay.
So
And
now
then-
it's showing
then we
up on
see
yours?
you still. Okay.
Got it?
Yahoo.
Yay!
But I'm not sure that it's focusing on
I'll
Trina.
go look.
Ask Ted if he's got it.
No.
You're just sharing.
Okay, now,
Now, yeah. I think we got it. Can you guys see the screen, the slides okay? And hear me also?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
great.
great. All right, so tip 2. We're working on tip 2, which is being prepared. Yay, thank you for letting us know that that was not going on. It's kind of crazy when you have it all set up and running and then the computer shut off. That's another one of those white elephant things. So anyway, you need to know what tools you need. The microphones. This can be wired or it can be loose that you can walk around with. Tip on microphones, eat the microphone. Too many people hold it here
Well, they
or
wave it
talk like
around.
that.
Yeah, they wave it around.
Yeah, hold it up to your mouth. Rest it on your chin if you need to. But make sure you're talking into the mic. We have over the ear, for those of you on there, like that. Lavalier or lapel mic. You need to decide what it is that you want to use when you're speaking. Important point of this clips on down here. You cannot turn your head in different directions like this and expect the mic to pick it up. So it does work, and it can also be a challenge. You've got to be very much aware of the fact that you have to talk into this mic. Those all the toys you brought me? Yeah. Also, if you have any props, you got to make sure they're available. Things that you want to demonstrate, what you want to use. You may be presenting live hands-on. You need to make sure you've got your speaker system and some kind of wired mic. I prefer that over the ear so that you can literally keep talking, doing things hands-free, using those kinds of things. Another part of tip 2 is know your message and start with the end in mind. So you know your audience, and then you also need to know what you want people to get, what you want them to walk away with. For me, it's like I want all of you to be able to walk out and be able to feel more comfortable speaking in public, whether you're talking in a more stage setting or whether you're just simply going to a meeting and speaking to people. And we're going to talk a little bit more about meetings in a little bit. You're going to tell them what you're going to tell them. So I'm going to teach you a little bit more about these simple tips. I said that in the beginning, what I'm bringing forward for you. You're going to do an earn the right. Explain to people what you know and why you can get up here and share it with them. If you have years of experience, if you've done this before, you just want to give them a little bit of your background so that they know that you know about the subject that you're talking about. A script. You definitely need a script. Do not ever think you're going to go and speak in public and make a point without having a script. You need to think about the things that you want to express to people, whether they're on little note cards, whether they're in PowerPoints, whether they're on pieces of paper. You need to make sure. Excuse me, got a tickle there. You need to make sure and bullet point it. Don't write everything and then go and read what it is that you want to say. Bullet point it, because if you're reading it, your eyes are not connecting with people, your heart's not connecting with people, you're connected with your paper. And your message does not come across as authentic when you're reading it. Quotes, if you don't know them by heart, that's cool. If there's a passage from a book, tell people, I'm going to read you this because I want to get it clear. But make sure that otherwise you're not reading what you're presenting. At the end of your message, remind them again what you told them. So do a little summary so that they remember. And then if you're going to ask for something, there's a way of seeding. If you want to sell something during it, and you can say things like, well, here's some of the things I have to offer. I teach classes, I promote events, things like that. You can reach me. For me, it's Tyna at Journeys for Conscious Living, or Cooper at meetingsandevents.com. Or I'll be talking to you about this a little bit more at the end of the presentation. There's places you can seed, and you should seed. If you're really going to offer something, you should seed at least 3 times during the talk, so that they know that there's something else that's coming up, but you're not being too pushy. You're not. And then you always ask them, can I share this with you? When you get to the end, if you're going to do an ask, It's like, I'd like to share a little bit about more what I do and what's available if you want to connect with me. So that would be a really nice, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. For me, it's that, I really just want to let you know what I do. And if you want to connect with me, here's my information. Alrighty. So, getting prepared. Part of your script needs to be the timing. You need to know how much time it's going to take you to get through it. Too many people speak for too long or run out of time. You've seen it on the Oscars where they turn the music up. They haven't practiced their thank you speech, I guess. And I don't know. I read a really cool book a long time ago, and it was like the 1 minute presentation, sort of like the 1 minute manager. And it gave me some really great ideas. Most people can't hold attention for more than 5 minutes. So you want to keep changing what you're doing over that period of time. So if you look at the time block you have, and you say, I'm going to do my intro, I'm going to do my earn the right, it's going to take me about 10 minutes. I'm going to do a little bit of a close, I want questions and answers, something like that at the end. Then you know exactly how much time you have in the middle to create your data. And you really want maybe one slide, 1 point, one piece of data for every five minutes. So you want to kind of shift through it, move through it. The other thing is having audience interaction, asking people questions. That's an option also. Do you want to have audience interaction? Do you want to involve them in the conversation? One of the trainings I went to a long time ago, they called it like the data dance. And so you did data, and then you did a one-on-one, and then you did a little group share, and then you did a whole room share. And so the presenter actually danced this around the stage. He was like, data, one-on-one, and then he just like is moving around the stage, and then he had everybody get up and move like that. Do your data dance. Because sitting still, what you want to do is have state changes. What you want to be able to do is say, oh, the energy's getting low. Okay, everybody stand up. Move around a little bit, sit down, those kinds of things. Especially if you've got a longer presentation. If you're going for the whole day, you want to keep moving the energy. And so talking like this is not one of my favorite things to do, but that's what I'm doing. Make your message interesting also. So add things, be a storyteller, the quotes, anecdotes, analogies, statistics, humor. Telling a story is really great. And if you can become an amazing storyteller, you'll become an amazing presenter. I've literally seen people who have done nothing but stories through their whole presentation to make their points. And every point, as Larry always says, every point that you want to make has a story behind it. So those are really important pieces as well. Here's some other little tips. Rehearse your message. Rehearse your presentation. You might even want to go to the extent of where you have the drama in it, acting out the drama. If you want to get really mad and you want to go up and pound on a table, or you want to write or script or throw something or do whatever you want to do, you want to add that into your presentation and practice it. Notes need to be legible and readable. The last thing you want to do is be fumbling around with your information. Do not do that. You can also use index cards. You can use PowerPoint. You can use notepads. You can even put your speech on your phone and just hold your phone and read from your phone if you need to do that. So, but make sure that if you have certain points you want to get across to people, that you take the time to write them down. Script them. You might have to put little notes in about the stories. And I remember one presentation that I had to do, and this was when I was so petrified. And I was in high school. And they asked me to give a speech about a teacher who was winning Teacher of the Year award. And they wanted me to present it because I was on student council. And so I got up on stage and I was so afraid. And I was kind of like, the teacher of the year is Mr. Cohen, and Mr. Cohen, we love you. Here. And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't remember what I wanted to say. And all I kept thinking about was, I got to get off the stage. I got to get off the stage. Now, sometimes things like that might hit you like that. But you also need to know that you can grow through them, and you can feel so much better by being prepared or having your little notes or rehearsing what you want to say. And after that particular episode, I swore I was never going to speak in public again. I was one of these kids that, even though the requirement was to take speech class in high school, I managed to get out of it and still get out of high school. I don't know how I did that. That's how badly I did not want to speak in front of people. And then I decided, no, I got a message. I've got things I want to share. And the only way I'm going to be able to share myself is, and what I know, is to get over it and connect with people. So being prepared, again, having handouts, visuals, whatever it is that you want to use. So now we move into the presentation itself. And tip number 3 is present and be present. You need to be in this room if you're going to be sharing something. You need to be aware, and that's what's so tough. Like doing a Zoom, I can see some of the people, but the ones on the phone I can't see. It's so much easier to talk when you can see people's faces and you can feel the energy of what is going on. And one-on-one, I've learned over time that one-on-one is as powerful or more powerful sometimes than speaking to huge groups of people, because you can make that connection and you can tailor your talk however you need to tailor it. I love sometimes when I get groups of 2 and 3 and I can do a more personal connection. But there's a couple quotes here. One is Jim Baggs. What we say is important, for in most cases the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. It is really hard to get up and present something that you don't care about and that what you don't feel about. So make sure, if you're asked to do a presentation and you really don't like the material and you really don't want to do it, say, I think you can find somebody better for the job. Don't be afraid to say no. And the other one is, a good order is pointed and impassioned. From Marcus Cicero. You have to be able to feel the passion. I mean, for me, if people could go out and share their message, if people could take their time and share themselves, whether it's in small groups, whether it's in organizing even PTAs or smaller things like that, it's that group of people that makes the difference. It's that connection with everybody that makes the difference. It's feeling like you're offering something yourself. It's feeling like you're doing good. That feeling that Maya Angelou said. It's about the feeling. It's about the energy. It's about that connection that we make with people. And then what we do comes out of that. We had to go in and do presentations during this campaign in rooms where some of the people did not like what we were saying, especially this GMO labeling campaign we did. Sitting, doing debates with my opposition, with an audience of people who would heckle you, that didn't want you there, that were petrified, and you just needed to know that the message that you were sharing was going to touch somebody. I heard 90% of the people don't really want to do things. 90% of the people, they may whine, they may complain, and they're really not going to go out there and do stuff. You want to connect with that other 10% that can move, that can do things. And sometimes you're going to have people in the room that just don't like what you're saying, and it's okay. You're expressing from the heart. My granddaughter used to write. She started writing when she was 3 years old. Wow. And she used to come in and hand me paper and say, Grandma, we're going to do a story. I'm going to tell you the words, and you write them down, and then I'm going to be the illustrator. And then she went and got into school, and she was first grade. 3 months in the public school, she wouldn't write anymore. And it was like, what is going on with this child? Well, something happened. Somebody criticized what she was doing. And I sat and talked with her, and I said, you know, Alexa, writing, just like speaking, sharing yourself, sharing what you know, that's what it's about. Some people will resonate, some people won't resonate. And it's okay. It's just about sharing what you want to present. And she went into school and she wrote a story. And the story was about how her younger brother pooped in the bathtub. And everybody thought it was the funniest thing in the whole world. But, you know, it took off again. I'm sure some kids thought it was disgusted. I don't know how their teacher was, but, you know, it was like she got her voice back. And now she's up on stage singing and playing guitar and expressing herself that way. So it's like we cannot squash that in ourselves. And the whole system squashes it in us. So we don't want to go there. We want to do everything we can to share what we know. So back to the slides. Before you ever start presenting, you want to raise your energy. You may have a ritual. Tony Robbins talks about his ritual. A lot of the other speakers talk about their ritual. What do you do? I think my husband Larry said he goes back and says, I am the greatest presenter in the whole world, and gets himself all pumped up. He's sitting in the room, by the way, for those of you who didn't know that. You want to know how you're going to enter. What's your entrance going to be like? One of the things you want to make sure you stay on script, so know your script. And know how you're going to watch your time. Those of you who can't see me, there's a clock in the back of the room here that I can see all the time. I know exactly how much time I have left. If you don't have that, if you're not wearing a watch, if you don't have a little timer down in front of you that you can see, have someone stand in the back of the room and keep updating you. You know, 10 minutes, 5 more minutes, whatever it is. But you need to be aware of the time that you have. I think there were some quotes that said, nobody really complains about a short speech, but they definitely complain if it goes too long. So you can always end early. Again, in the presentation, connect. Look people in the eye. Set the energy and the tone of what you want to do. Welcome people. If you've been invited to speak, give gratitude for being invited to speak. Thank them, honor them. If someone's introduced you, you can say things like, you know, I'm so appreciative to be on this stage with this person or that person. What? Huh? Nothing? I have a distraction in the room. Calling out that white elephant again. I have no idea what you're saying, so speak louder if you're gonna. Okay, thanks. The powerful statement. If you have something that you really want, Larry likes to use this. A really strong, powerful statement in the very beginning about what that relates to what you're talking about. Given a presentation once, and I don't know how many of you know about Dr. Emoto's work with water, with crystals, and how they would put words around water, love, hate, different things like that, and then they take that water and they freeze it, and the uplifting words, the wonderful words that touch the heart would grow these beautiful crystals, and then the words like hate and even the word Hitler and stuff created these really deformed looking crystals when they froze them. And he got up in front of the room and he said to people, if our words, if our thoughts change water, and we're water, what do they do to us? Better yet, and he's talking to a group of cleaning and water restoration people. He said, what is this water around everyone doing? And are we cleaning this up the best way possible? And is the best thing developed already? Or can we use light? And can we use sound? Can we do other things to change the frequency of what's going on here in this place? And it was so powerful, but you could see some of the people in the room with deer in headlight looks like, oh my God, he's wearing out on us. And then you could see other people in the room, their brains just clicking, their brains just clicking. And now people are cleaning with laser because it's light and it doesn't harm the old buildings and institutions and artwork. It cleans with light. And it was one little powerful statement that can change the way people think and can have an impact on a lot of things in the world. So don't ever sell yourself short. Know when you get up here, when you start speaking, when you tell them what you're going to tell them, you earn the right, you stay on the script, and you deliver your message. Be aware of you, and be aware of the others in the room. Be aware of your eye contact, your body language. You don't want to turn your back. You don't want to do this. They can't hear you. They can't see you. If you have something like this, if I move that into the camera a little more, a lot of people think that using a whiteboard like this is a really great way of doing things. You know, either a flip chart, whiteboard, something like that instead of a PowerPoint, because it adds an air of mystery. And people are looking, you know, as you're writing across this board, they're wondering what the heck you're putting up there. So if you want to add a little mystery and intrigue, you can add this. But don't turn your back like this necessarily to write. They can't hear you when you turn your back. You need to go from a way like this. If I'm right-handed, writing like this, so I can talk to the people while I'm writing. And then it's kind of funny because some people really have issues like flipping pages if you're not tall enough. So sometimes you might even need someone to help you out, but this is one tool you can use. Are you a walker? Do you walk a lot? Do you pace a lot? I rock back and forth a lot sometimes when I'm talking. Huh? He's smiling.
I have people on stage all the time that are pacers. We can't keep up with them. Try to follow them with the camera. It's almost impossible. So try to get them to stay within a little parameter. It's almost impossible. They can't do it from an energy standpoint.
Did you guys all hear? Ted, could you hear what he said? Okay, cool. That's true. And one of the tools I've learned though is if you do want to move, if you're going to move across a room, say, let's see, I'll start over here. You talk this way. When you walk across the room, go this way. Because whoever is in your audience doesn't want to be left out. So if you stand over here and you talk facing this group, these people can't feel your energy. And when you walk across the room over here and you talk this way, they can't feel your energy if they're on the other side of the room. So be aware of the fact that if you're moving, you're shifting your gaze, that you have the whole audience in your gaze, like this. Always inclusive, always eye contact, always heart to heart. Hands. Some people talk with their hands all the time. Sometimes people put their hands in their pocket. They actually teach people doing speeches, really. It's like, or performing until you learn, because a lot of this, the body language and stuff, the use of the hand can be extremely powerful. So you don't necessarily want your hands flailing all over the place. If you use them, you want to use them to make a point. You want to be inclusive. Those kinds of things. So think about the body language. And if you need to study body language, study body language. Stay fresh. So usually you have a table, water. If you're hosting the speaker, make sure they have a table and put something pretty on it, like a plant, flower, something. This gives them a place to put their things, their props. So if you're setting up a room for a speaker, make sure they have a place to put things. Super important. Nothing's worse than having a speaker on stage and then fumbling around and trying to figure out. Also the use of voice. Elizabeth Taylor made a point in a quote that she gave once that the eyes, the use of the eyes and the voice, speaking really softly, is extremely, extremely powerful. So learn how to use eye expressions, learn how to use your voice. You may want to be loud and commanding. When we were up on those steps on the Capitol, and there's this big rally, you want to get people all pumped up, you're going to use big voice. You're going to make declarative statements. You're going to charge people up. When I'm teaching meditation, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to say, okay, let's relax into our bodies. Let's be comfortable. Let's breathe. So the voice that you use, it's really hard to learn meditation from someone who's gigantic, big, and yelling at you. It's all about the energy you want to set. And then read the energy of the room and change it if it drops. I was teaching one time and talking about learning how to be observant, staying on task, but watching the body language of the people that are in your group is incredible. And the guy said, well, what do you mean? How do you get that? And I said, well, there's, you know, to recognize and notice that somebody's sitting there in their chair and they're twiddling a pen. And I'm looking at him, but he turns to his wife and he goes, see, I told you you should sit still. And I said, it's not her, it's you. Look where your hand is, look what you're doing. And he was like, all flustered, you know, all bothered, but it's like, you can see, you're up in front of the room. You can see what everybody out there is doing, especially if you have a smaller group of people. And that gives you keys as to what you should do, who you should connect with, what's happening in the room. So it's really important that you are an observer of the energy of the room and what the people are doing. And then if you want to change it, change it. Have them stop and breathe. It's called a state change. You want to pump up the energy? Get them up moving around. Have them do jumping jacks. Have them turn in circles. Have them shake hands. One of the best ones was high five. Everybody high five. And so you just say that, you know, the speaker would just go, okay, high five. And everyone would start slapping hands. And then it's like, okay, settle down. Let's get back to work. But just that shift in energy pumped everybody back up again. One thing you know, when you let people go on a break, reeling them back in again can be really difficult. So you might want to add something that gets them back into their seats, gets them back present, a little exercise, I don't know, conversation, something that gets them back in the room and away from the break that they just took. Let's see. And again, if you have something to offer in the future, offer it toward the end, not in the beginning, but take your time at the end, and then have an ending, have a close, whatever it is that you want to say at the end. A lot of people don't know how to finish, so that's really important. Okay, so next tip, tip 4, set the space. I don't know why that whole little bar is up there, but oh, it's because I'm screen sharing. Boy. Okay, tip 4, set the space. Remember, when you set the space, it is about setting and holding energy. Now, when we do, we have a meeting and event company, and we also produce really, really large conventions and trade shows and things like that. You need to think about the energy flow in the room. So our favorite pattern is a chevron pattern, and I don't like aisles down the middle, because aisles down the middle of a row sucks all the energy right down that aisle. And you've got people in two sides like this. Oh, you have something here? You're so good. My little helper just helped. I guess I have to bring that back over again. Let's see.
Perfect.
Right there?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, right there. All right, so chevron, stage. Like this, with people set up in front of you, with the aisles coming down the sides, because then the energy's this way, and you're not leaking out the room. You can curve it if you want to, but if you have the ability to set up your room, this is a great way to set up a room. Then, also, about holding the energy, you need to know what you're presenting. So is it a keynote or a talk? Is it a teaching presentation? Is it a class, a meeting, a board or council presentation, or commenting on something, like they have public hearings or whatever? You'll recognize that if you go into, say, a board or a council, there's usually a big dais and everybody important sitting up high and looking down at you, and they give you a podium to sit behind because it's so much safer to create all that, and it makes them feel like they have all this authority. Recognize that energy. You have to have respect in those places, but recognize the energy that's going on there, and you might have to make yourself a little bit bigger or a little bit more succinct or a little bit more to the point, because they're busy people and they don't want to have time wasted. I learned a lot when Larry was on city council for 10 years. And he would come home and he'd say, oh my gosh, we'd have these people and they're so passionate, but they kept on coming up and saying the same things and nobody offered a solution. So if you're going to go do one of those presentations where you have a comment, if you're not going into just say thank you or something like that, have a solution or have an idea what you want to present. They're going to welcome you with open arms because they get tired of trying to figure out how to do it. And they get tired of all the complaining. They want to turn it around to a positive. And one of the key things, this is something I learned in a law of attraction book. Know what you don't want so you can create what you do want. Use that as the little snippet. Don't stay with it, but just say, I don't like this. I want this. One of the things you can use when you have all those people complaining or saying things, when they do that, you just say, excuse me, but what exactly is it that you want? Especially if you find yourself in one of those board seats or council seats, you want to be able to say, what is it that you want? Again, controlling the energy. If you're in a meeting, if it's like a board meeting and you're around a big table, just another little clue, especially if you happen to be, is it in a good spot?
Yes.
Especially if you happen to be the one who's chairing the meeting. You have all these different people that come in. Some of them are chatty. Some of them are troublemakers. Some of them just carry on. You have your table. You as the presenter will be up here. You want to use name cards. And the reason you want to do that is you want an ally down here or somebody that can work with you, somebody that can help contain the energy. And it's also good to have them here and here. Don't load up this part of the table. Don't load up all these key people and have all the troublemakers down the other end of the room. You want a balanced table of energy so you get something done. We used to have a guy who had, like, know your people. I said, know your audience. We used to have a board member. His MO was come in late, walk in the door, big, gigantic, terrible energy. He would survey the room like this, And then he would walk up to the table, plop his stuff down, push people out of the side. What he was doing was looking for the most strategic place in the room to take over, so that whoever was leading that meeting couldn't, he could. So what we did was name tags. They had seats, put them down around here, and put a really strong person next to him that would help keep him in line. What?
And across.
And across, yeah, and across.
Directly across.
Another one over here, directly across from him. So we put him in a place where we could manage the energy. That's what doing a presentation, holding a meeting, teaching a class, it's about holding the energy. So if you're teaching, you need to decide if you want to be interactive. Do you want to sit in a circle? Circles are always great, but you may not be able to do that. But be able to work with the room. Be able to walk up and down aisles, talk to people, pull them into what you're doing. Keynotes and talks, same thing. That's a little bit more about asking the questions. What's the stage setup? Can I work without a podium? Can we move the podium out of the way? Lots of people like to put those podiums there. And tell them what you want. Ask them what they have, tell them what you want. When we put on these conventions and trade shows, or have the people on the stage, we send out something that says, what are your needs? You know, what kind of microphone do you want? What do you want here? What do you want to do here? Do you need slides? Do you need a projector? You have no idea how many people come in. They don't ask. And the people who are running the presentation don't ask. And then they come in with a little stick and said, I need to show my presentation.
I have a video.
I have a video. Oh yeah, that's another good one. I have a video I need to play. And it's like, alrighty. So a lot of times we say, no, you could have told us ahead of time. That's why we, vet them a lot beforehand. The more information, the more communication, the better the presentation is going to be all the way around. Whether you're presenting it or you're hosting it, one or the other. Here's some things to consider when you're setting your space. Again, it's your style and your comfort. If you're the presenter, what do you want? Or the audience, what's their style and their comfort? What are they looking for? You need to blend those together to have it be effective. The positioning of the speaker, where's he going to be? They have them off to the side of the stage. Sometimes you see the podiums on the side. Are they right in the middle of the stage? And how do you want to do it? Where do you want to be? Do you want to stand up? A lot of times MCs are off to the side of the stage. Main presenters are in the middle. To podium or not to podium, we talked about that a little bit. Do you want to block your energy or not? If you have the option and you need that, again, a music stand works great. They're really easy to collapse and take with you too. They'll hold your notes. Do you need a screen and a projector? Again, we talked about the chairs, the aisles. Tables or no tables? Are you going to be in a place where people want to take notes and they need a table to take notes? Or can they take them on their lap? Do you just want to pull all the people? One of the key things, though, in a group, if you're hosting a meeting, rope off the last couple rows of chairs. People have a tendency to come in the room, in the space, and sit in the back of the room. And as a presenter, you want the people forward to you. You want that energy around you so you can relate to them and you can feel it. So rope off the back areas of the room, open them up late for the people who come in last. Force everybody forward. If you don't do that, ask everybody to come to the front before you really get going on your presentation. Just invite them to the front, ask them to come so that you can interrelate with them more and things like that. But the presentations are so much better and you feel more alive when the people are close than way far away. Sound, microphones, what is the sound like? There's so many times in presentations when the speakers they put the speakers behind the people, and then they get up on the stage. Kathy's like, scoot over. They get up on the stage and they get that feedback, that echo, and they're wondering what the heck is going on. So make sure that the speakers are in the right place. They're not, picking up the feedback from you and stuff. Lighting is another thing, making sure that there's good light. This room was a challenge. I had to bring in a light so that you could literally see me. Do you want music? Do you want flowers? Make your room beautiful if you can do that. Larry just helped a group put on a really big dinner, 1,000-plate dinner down in Denver at one of the big hotels. And we brought in silk plants and we got some flowers to put on the stage. The person who's been working at that hotel for 20 years said he'd never had a group bring plants and flowers on the stage before.
Wow.
The lighting was beautiful. Everything was coordinated. It set the mood. And there were so many compliments afterwards, except for when he turned the music up because someone's speech was too long.
Speaker of the House.
It was the Speaker of the House of the state of Colorado who didn't mind her time. But yeah, remember, you control the energy of the room, whether you're putting on the presentation or whether you're the actual presenter. You control that energy in the room. So if you're holding the space and you're helping guide the whole thing, you want a script. Again, just like we talked about, you want a script, you want the timing, you want to know who's going on when, you want to know when you're cueing the music, you want to know when the videos need to come up. This script for this particular dinner presentation, it was a 4-hour event, and the script was huge, and it was by the minute. It was 7 o'clock. This person walks on stage. They have 2 minutes to do a welcome, then someone else comes on. It's 3 minutes. Cue the video. The video lasts 5 minutes.
Wow.
Next person walks on, 2 minutes. That script was huge. And he sat in the back of the room with his headset on, with his little speakers and microphone and headsets and stuff, talking to the people backstage, saying, get the next person up to go on stage, make sure they're prepped, we're going to be doing this. This isn't good, get them off the stage, they're running over. And then he also had the ability to turn the sound up. So, you really need to know. So tip 5 is share your message. Be you. Be the most authentic that you can be. You connect with people when you do that. You have to be clear, authentic, and from the heart in everything you do. People respond to that. They also respond to screaming, yelling, threats, and things like that. But it's a completely different response.
Yeah, you're kidding.
And that's not,
Experience.
and that's not what we want to bring forward. But in the same note, that screaming, that yelling, that threatening, the things that they do brings a response from us. And it's the response they want. They want the crowd to go crazy like that. So just remember, you're working the energy all the time, and you want to share your message. And what Kathy and I love to get out in these programs is that it's authenticity. It's from the heart. This is why we're doing this, because more people need to step up and present and be authentic and share their message. There is going to be somebody that listens to you, no matter what it is you speak about. So what exactly did you learn? You learned tip 1, that it's simple. It's really simple. It's about the energy, the connection, and the communication that you have. That's all you're doing when you're getting up and you're presenting, or whether you're creating a stage or a room for someone else to do it. You're creating the container, and you're sharing from the heart as authentically as you possibly can. Tip 2 is be prepared. We went through all those ideas, making sure you're prepared, making sure you're scripted, making sure you're rehearsed, tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. Like Mark Twain said, it takes them 3 weeks to be impromptu. It can take a lifetime with some of your really important messages. You tweak them over and over again, and you should be able to share them with whoever, wherever you have an opportunity. It's not limited to a room and a stage. It's wherever, whenever. Present and be present. We're going to present and be present. You're there to do something, to give your message, but you want to be here now. Everything else can wait. And then set the space the way you want it, so you're comfortable and they're comfortable. Have the conversations, that communication again. Bring beauty into the space. Beauty lightens the heart. Beauty makes people receptive. If you walk into a stark room, oh, I got to tell you, I went to a conference on science and spirituality in India. Now, this is at a university in this huge room. I can't say it was like an auditorium because it didn't have like the seats and stuff. It was more like just a big open room. And then they had the stage at the one end, and they had rows and rows and rows and rows of people, mainly men. Most of the attendees were all men. The women were there to help and serve. The women escorted the speakers in, or the honored people, the people of importance. And the really big important people were brought in with music and throwing flowers. It was very interesting. That's how we were greeted. We were important guests because we came from the US, and we were sitting in the front row, and we had attendance. And we were brought in with music and flowers. Their stage, the whole outline of the stage was flowers. Wow. Live, they were all, had been live flowers woven into this whole amazing stage. And then all around the room were live trees in big pots that they had brought in. Wow. So you were like sitting in a forest. It was one of the most amazing rooms I've ever walked into. The energy was incredible. And the only thing that really kind of set me off a little bit was the fact that there were not women in the audience. It was a conference with men to talk about science and spirituality. So for part of it, I was like so excited that we were talking about these subjects, weaving together. And on the other hand, I was like, but you left out a whole section of the community that could share with you that whole feminine aspect. So, but that set the space. It was awe-inspiring. So if you can make your space awe-inspiring and welcoming, you've done half your job already. Because people will be open, they'll be receptive. They'll be ready to listen to you, they'll be comfortable. So those are really key. And again, tip 5 is be you. Whatever it is that you want to share, whatever your little nugget is that you want to give people, it comes from you. Don't try and present like another person. Don't try and be, oh my gosh. I just saw what Trump did on stage the other day, mimicking a politician. Giving a speech was a little snippet. I actually saw it on one of the late night talk shows, but he said, okay, and he got really stiff behind this podium. Okay, I'm going to be a politician now. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And then he walked off the stage kind of like this. And he was like, they might want to be that way. I'm not going to be like that. I'm me. And he was pretty clear about take it or leave it. I'm me. I'm not going to play like everybody else. I mean, the message came through clear. Not playing like everybody else, not doing like everybody else. And I'll tell you what, if you ever get into politics, they will tell you how to come up on stage, how to present yourself. Like I said before, how you spin what you're saying. So it's definitely, watch for things like that the more you get comfortable about it. And please connect with me. My name again is Tyna Giordano Cooper. I'm a partner in Journeys for Conscious Living that actually presents and holds the space or creates the space for presenters, different kinds of events, and then meetings and events also, where we do conventions and trade shows, restoration journeys, we do cruises and things like that, cruise teaching and stuff. My websites are up here. Tyna, Tryna, for those on the phone, Tryna at j4cl.com or tcooper at meetingsandevents.com. And anybody who wants a copy of this, I'd be really happy to send it to you. If you connect with me and send me your email or connect with Kathy, I'll send you the presentation so that you have it point by point. Because I know some people were on the phone and not seeing the presentation too. So, and as far as the people in the room, same thing. If you want it, I'll be more than happy to share it with you. So it was kind of a basic, not a lot of pictures. Sometimes there's a lot more, which is really great, but we didn't get into like putting the presentation together. It was more about presenting it. So anyway, any questions or comments, feedback, anything else I can help you with?
And the only thing I can say is if the people that are on phones, I have a phone, and when I get on Zooms, I'd rather be on a Zoom. You can get the Zoom app and just get on the Zoom, and then it's just nice.
Yeah.
You know, more part of it.
Yeah.
They don't always have, I mean, most of the Zooms I'm on, they don't use pictures, but another day, and I got called out for the way I looked, because it's like, whoa, I was sort of in my pajamas. I didn't expect to be seen.
I want to talk about Zoom a little bit too, now that you brought it up. The presentations on Zoom. What I've really been noticing from the point of view of a presenter and an attendee also is that you need to apply these same things when you're doing a Zoom. So if you're going to get on with a pic and you're going to be in the picture, clean up what's behind you a little bit. Find a little bit better space. Come on, I had someone I was doing a Zoom meeting. She looked like she just crawled out of bed. Didn't even look really like her hair was done, or, you know, she was kind of, and it was like, you know, if you're going to do this, treat the people on the call with respect. But, and I have to tell you, Ted, it was so cute. When Kathy was presenting the last time and we did the Zoom meeting, and Larry had said to me, is Ted there? And I actually said, yeah, didn't you see the little hand that pushed the flowers across the table behind her? It was like this little bodiless hand. And it was really nice having the flowers there. And it was nice that he noticed that they weren't, you know, in the picture. But it was kind of funny because this little hand came by. So if you're planning on doing a presentation with Zoom, I would recommend that you set the space where you're teaching. Make it pleasant behind you, because even if you have your face super close, like up to the camera, whatever, they're going to still see the background. And if they see piles of stuff, or they see messy laundry, or they see, you know, whatever is behind you when you're having it, take the time to think about where you're positioning yourself. The other thing is, so many people sit with a window behind them.
Inviting span.
Even some of the presenters don't, you know, will sit with a window behind them. So there's no light on their face. They look like a little silhouette. It's really hard to see them and connect with them. So it's like, if you're going to do that, turn your video off. make sure that whatever you're doing, you're sitting where there's some light on you, and whatever's behind you isn't going to overshadow you or whatever.
My friend Darlis Mays tells a story of being on a call like this on Zoom, and apparently the person was on their computer in their bedroom, and their husband came out of the shower and walked naked to the dresser to get their underwear, and everyone saw, and it was being recorded. So you have to really think about not only, because sometimes you'll see calls where someone is right near their kitchen and their kid goes get something out of the refrigerator while they're on. So those are the other things. It's like, hey guys, I'm on for 2 hours. Can you just give me space?
Yeah.
But
and it's been really interesting having that. Like we've been playing with having the camera and being able to do live presentations and walking around and using Zoom at the same time. It's something new. It's what we're experimenting with. We could use other cameras, and zoom in a little bit and stuff. And we'd love feedback from people too. This is something new, but it's like, I want to be able to both have a live audience if people come, and I would like to also be able to do the Zoom chats. And so presenting that way, we found a pretty good speaker that picks up the voices of the people in the room, and different kinds of cameras. That's the other thing. If you're going to do a lot of Zoom, especially if you're a presenter, get yourself a good camera that you can hook up so people can see your face clearly. Too many people just use.
we're using a Logitech 920. And they just came out with a 922, which I'm not sure what the difference
That's
is.
the little one on top.
Right here, yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
same one as that one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can
The
get-
difference is $50.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
$50, whatever it does.
And you can get yourself a nice little collapsible, tripod
Tripod.
that you can use and take with you. You can also film off your iPad and things. That usually does pretty good, and there's connections for that as well. But these little cameras, but if you're going to be doing it on your computer all the time and you're connecting with people, another thing, they need to be able to see you, and it's better if it's not all grainy, if it looks good. The other thing is noise canceling headset mics are awesome. Wearing those, they can be just like little hook over the ears with a little microphone or something, but it definitely helps to be able for the people to be able to hear you, especially if there's background noise. It's not very noticeable when you're on the computer, but your voice is much clearer. And I learned some of this being on the radio. I do radio shows on Law of Attraction Radio, and I used to be on some others as well. And a lot of times we use, we'll Skype in because it's clearer. They can do a high definition coming in using a Skype, more so than, just dialing in. And so the recordings are better when they want to edit and slice and all the things that they do. But that using that headset mic, getting a really good quality headset and mic for being on the shows and for doing the recording. And I definitely learned, because one of the shows I was doing was called What's Up, and it was similar to The View, where there were 4 co-hosts, and we'd have somebody come on and talk, get interviewed, or share their book or whatever. And then it got to a point where with that it was very scripted, because we had advertisers. So you had a 3-minute open, you had to go to an advertisement, you did an 8-minute kind of talk, then you go to an advertisement, then you do a 10-minute section of actually interviews or whatever, then you go to another commercial break. And it was like scripted, but because we were doing it, we didn't have like a director, we were doing it as a call-in. You didn't really have a director necessarily telling you. They would count down the amount of time you had before the show went live, but it was up to you to have your timer there, and be able to cut when you needed to cut and say, I'm going, we're going to go to a really brief ad and we want to give great appreciation to our advertisers who are sponsoring the show, and just like you hear on TV, And then there would be some shows where the guest canceled and my 3 co-hosts didn't show up. And I had to learn how to speak for an hour on different topics. So you always had to be prepared with other topics, other things you wanted to talk about. You had to do your research, and you'd always have yourself prepared in case you had that white elephant show up again and you had to. The other thing was dead airspace. Can't have dead airspace even though you want to, you can edit out the shows that you're going to put in the archives for people to come in. But when you're doing it live, no dead air. So if something happens, you need to pick up. I had that happen in taping the radio show a week or so, 2 weeks ago. And the main host didn't show up. And we had our instructions on what we were to do. However, we got through with some of the things that we did, and then there was no one who took the lead to continue the conversation. Wow. And so I've done enough of these shows that I know no dead airspace. You just jump in. Sometimes you just have to jump in. And I started directing and asking, is there someone else who wants to comment? And just having that feedback and that talk back. But if you're doing a live show, you need to know that you've got to have no dead air. So talk about whatever you can.
I've got a question about a live presentation. When you suggest for people to take questions and do Q&A, if you should do it during your presentation or at the very end, or both?
Depends on what you want to do.
Okay.
You can break your presentation up into segments and ask for questions or comments or something after segments. And then move to the next thing. You don't necessarily want to take them as you're speaking, because you may cover what it is that they're going to ask, and it throws you off course a little bit. So if you want to put those breaks in, like I considered putting in breaks between the tips, and I wasn't quite sure of the amount of audience and things. I knew pretty much how long the talk would go, but I didn't want to also lose control of the timing and things like that. So I made the choice not to do the questions and answers in between, though we've done some where we've done exercises in the middle, and we've asked for questions. So it really totally depends on the way you want to script it.
Okay.
But if you do it, I would suggest doing it at the end of a point and ask for it so that you can go into the next point. And something's going to always pop up that's going to lead you into what you want to say next. And it's always great. It's like, oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, because here's our next point. That kind of thing. So that's that's an important piece too. But Q&A at the end. Okay. And you can actually instruct people to, I'm gonna take questions at the end. Put it right up front. You can set the criteria. So jot your questions down for me, and I'll be glad to answer them in the end.
Okay, and then you have expertise with EHAR Veckard and going through that whole training of how to present. Is there any information that you'd like to share about how to motivate? Well, they definitely are experts at selling from the stage.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm not.
So that's why Becker, who Kathy just brought up, is he wrote a book called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. He owned Peak Potentials, which was really about different kinds of trainings. He did life direction trainings. He did manage your mind trainings. He did train the trainer, which was that one was a fun one. And the way they would block, and I talked a little bit about some of the things that they shared in that training, which was that data dance, that switching from one thing to another. And if you're going to do a longer presentation, if you're going to take a bunch of hours, you want to give a piece of data. This is what they suggested. Piece of data, 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something, dive into an exercise, and then give them a certain amount of time for the exercise, and then do a one-on-one share, like hook them up with a partner or whatever.
Okay.
Then pull a couple of the groups together and let them do a little bit bigger share,
Okay.
and then do a share from the stage where you just kind of say, does anybody from one of the groups want to share what you're doing?
Okay.
Their theory was the best way of learning or teaching people things was to be able to sit down and drink tea as the presenter. So it was give your little bit of data, give everybody instructions on what they're supposed to do, let them go for it, and sit down and have a cup of tea.
Wow.
And then come back, pull them together, give them the next snippet of data, 15, 20 minutes. Let them do an exercise. Let them do the share between them, the little group share. It was a constant movement. And some of the things they had us do when we did the exercises, it was like, okay, we need to clear all the chairs in the room. Imagine 1,300 people in a room and we have to clear the chairs to do it. Then it was like, you need to bring all the chairs back in. We're going to get back on. So you've got, 3 minutes. You got to do it by the time we get the music done. It was like high energy, high movement, high motion. And they kept questions and answers to the end. It was like the interview process at the end, just like that. Some of the exercises we got to do was really stepping us out of the box. They taught how to do a presentation, how to put it together, how to wrap it up, how to sell from the stage. That seeding piece of it, seed it at least 3 times throughout. They gave us 10 different ways to close. And you got to choose the one that worked for you.
Wow.
For me, I have to be much more subtle than what they are. I need to just tell people about what I offer. And one of the most fun one that we went to was Train the Trainer, when the trainer was literally on stage teaching us that, creating that anxiousness to run to the back of the stage and sign up. And he would literally jump and say, okay, putting on my trainer hat. And he'd teach us a little bit. And he's like, now you're going to see me do the pitch. And he'd go over here, jump over here, and he'd start doing the pitch. And, all excited. And you just watch the energy, the people in the room scoot to the front of your chairs. And then he'd jump back over. He goes, okay, doing my trainer hat. Look at where you guys are all sitting now. Can you feel this kind of thing? And then he'd jump over and he'd go right back into the pitch again. And he was such a master at what he did. By the end of the day, you knew exactly what he was doing when he got in the end. He laughed through the whole thing. He's like, look at you guys, and here's what we're doing, and their whole pitch was, here's this value, but here's what you're gonna get, and then they'd cross it off and they'd say, but today you're gonna get it for this, and if you're one of the first 10 people to get to the back of the room, you're gonna get it for this, plus you're gonna get this and this and this and this, but don't get out of your seats yet. You can't get out of your seats yet because I got more to tell you. And then he'd start going more and more and more, and then he would say, okay, we're getting ready now. You guys are ready, right? You're ready? Nope, we're not quite ready yet. We got one more thing we want to offer you. And he would just do this whole thing, and then pretty soon he'd go, okay, are you ready? All right, go. And all these people, we knew, we've just been through this whole presentation about how to sell from the stage. We knew exactly what he was doing. And I would say at least 50% of the people jumped up out of their chairs and ran to the back of the room. And I could feel it. I could feel myself wanting to go, and I'm telling myself, okay, you know exactly what he just did. You don't have to run there. You can sit here and make a decision. If you still feel this way tomorrow, go buy it. But you don't have to run to the back. But they were just masters at what they did. Also pushing us outside of the box. One night, you had to dress in a crazy costume and sing on stage, which was petrifying for me. I pushed myself to dance on stage. I wasn't afraid of dancing, and I got to a place where I could speak, but singing was another thing. And so I picked the song True Colors by Cyndi Lauper. And I was dressed up like Cyndi Lauper in this wild costume and everything. And I got up there and they looked at me and said, your music isn't working. You need to sing this a cappella. And I was like, I just need to remember the first word. If I can remember the first word, then I'll be able to sing it, you know, and I did. It started out with you with the sad eyes. Don't be discouraged. Realize it's bound to take courage in a world full of people. And it just goes on. And then when I hit the part that said, I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. All the people in the audience knew how I was feeling, and they all started singing with me.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And it pushed me past this place of like, oh my God, I felt like going back into that freeze. Can't do this. So, yeah. Any of these experiences that you can go and experience. There's all kinds of presentation things online, but going to a class where you actually get pulled up and you have to.
But could you coach us?
Yeah, probably some. I could coach, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do more.
Yes.
And some of the things that I'm putting together for the future, I'll be doing more coaching, more teaching, and I'm developing some programming, both in business, because I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18, so 40 plus years of being an entrepreneur. And I've also done 20 some years in spiritual study, and I'm blending the two together, that combination of science and spirituality and coming from the heart. I had someone come to one of these talks and they said, we didn't know you knew that much about business. We didn't know you knew that much about speaking. We didn't, and I've been hiding. So this is my year of no hiding.
Yay.
So I'll be coming forward with some presentations and different things in the future classes. And I also wanted to share with you guys, you want to learn something great on Friday, and that's this Friday. From 8:30 to 5:30, we are hosting here in Arvada, in the space in Arvada, in the Public Service Credit Union Conference Room. Miss Debbie Allen, who is going to be teaching Highly Paid Expert Workshop. And it's $49 for the day. She is so well known for marketing and branding. She wrote a book called The Shameless Marketer. And if you want to market your products, I mean, we have a great coach and teacher here with Kathy, and especially on the social media side, the branding, the networking, the websites and things you do. And Debbie is going to go into more specifics about what you can do and how you can get more income from becoming the highly paid expert. So again, that'll be 8:30 to 5:30, and it's this Friday. So if you're in a position where you can take your day off of work, come down, write it off as a business expense, learn how to develop this piece of you, I would encourage you to do that as much as possible. There's a way to register. You can call 303-469-0306. That's 303-469-0306. Or you can register and go to www.highlypaidexpertseminar.com is another way. Or you can just connect with me. So, and I think Kathy will be down here too. So if you want to come down, you can actually have a chat with us about tonight's presentation. She's done some on Facebook. Your next presentation is going to be
On video.
Video.
On how to make videos and market with them.
So like for social media and
For everything.
for everything.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn how to do promotional videos, especially from the heart, especially like authentically connecting with people, then you want to look for our next our next presentation, which will be on April 10th. We're doing these Women's Way the second Tuesday of every month. And Kathy and I just really wanted to reach out and offer some tools to people so that they can get their message out in the world and they can be the greatest person they can be. So yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell tonight. Any other questions or comments or?
Well, the second Tuesday of every month is normally another group I belong to, but for some reason they canceled tonight's list. The only time I could come. So yeah, normally I'm the second Tuesday of every month I book. So,
Okay,
it's
well,
not my best night.
one of the things that we've talked about doing is actually setting up a website, being able to record and archive some of these things so people can tap in later. And so that's a good feedback. I know not everybody can come, and that's where we landed. So I appreciate you coming tonight. I really do. I'm glad, and I hope you got some things out of it as well. So appreciate you being here. Anybody else on the
Anybody
phones or-
online have a question? I'll unmute. If I can, actually I made you the host, so
I have to send it off.
unless I make myself the host again.
Stop share.
Reclaim.
I'm stopping the share.
Okay.
There you go. Can you hear there?
Okay, so
You're gonna have to bump your
does
audio.
anybody have any criteria? And Ted, do you have a question?
Just a couple comments. As someone who still is having credit card debt, paying off some of Harv Ecker's programs from 10 years ago, I can say how amazing that process was. It also seems very manipulative. And you know how that is. I mean, it was great value in a lot of ways, but the whole process, you saw how manipulative it was. And I think all of us want to make sure that when we make an offer from the stage and when we do try to sell from the stage, that we really make it a value for people and we really connect with them. And I was just going through a course recently about how to sell from the stage. And there were a couple key things. One is they said that, you know, you always connect energetically with people, as you were saying, with the heart. And all of your story and everything has to really connect to what their needs are, what their pains are, how you can help solve that. And it was also real interesting. They talked about how you make sure you focus on both inner and outer results. So we're all about the heart. We're all about the inner work. And you want to make sure that you cover that because that's who we are. But you also want to make sure that they can see the outer result. And so it's that combination, that dance between the two. You get the inner, but you also get that outer result that you can see and feel and touch, whether it's money, whether it's, you know, but it's not just the inner work. And the other thing that was really interesting is they talked about how when you talk about the benefits, a lot of us are so focused on saving the world, you know, and it's like the big picture of the world. But it was really interesting to say you focus on the individual first, what benefit they're going to gain from what you have to offer and what you're actually presenting to them. And then you go to how the bigger picture is of the world. But not to forget that individual, hey, here's what you're going to benefit from taking that next step with me. And if you create everything that way so that you're very honest about, okay, I'm going to offer you more. Here's some great information, great content, but you can see there's much more. And then it becomes a natural progression for people to say, well, sure, I definitely want to spend more time with you. And you can do it in a way that's not the super hype, you know, got to run to the back of the door right now to get that offer. So anyway, it was really interesting I loved everything you said today. You covered a really wide range of information, but that whole idea of how to make an offer from the stage, you know, that's where most people and most of us would shy away and even take 2 or 3 steps back, you know, when we're starting to make the offer. And then people realize that you don't really have the confidence or you're not really, you know, that's when the nervousness will come up for those of us who aren't really that accustomed or that used to making that offer. And so just making it so natural that, okay, I have so much to share with you. And like you said, it's all about them. It's all about the value you bring to them and your message, instead of worrying about how you're being perceived or what your nervousness is. And the other thing that they said was interesting. It's like, okay, just expect 25% of the audience to not like you no matter what you do. And just, okay, that segment's going to be there. I can't serve everybody. There's 25% that are probably going to love you no matter what you do. And then there's the middle ground. But realize that, you know, we all have this tremendously unique, wonderful message. But to think that we are going to craft that message so that it hits everybody's needs is crazy. And to not worry about the people who don't resonate with our message and really focus on serving the people who really do and are on that same wavelength.
You're not going to resonate with anybody that's there, and it's really good points that you made. That's why when I said they had 10 closes for people and they demonstrated all of them, and for me it's like I can't be that aggressive. That's not me. I'm not aggressive, go get them kind of, you know, it's more like, here's what I have to offer, here's what you'll get out of it, this is what it costs, you know, that kind of thing, and offer. But, you know, ask the people, would you like to know a little bit more about what I'm going to do? And, or, you know, what I can offer you or whatever. And so that's, it's finding that one that resonates. And, you know, the people, you're going to attract the people who are going to learn from you. No matter how little information you have, there's always going to be somebody you can teach to.
Yeah.
And every one of these instructors, like a lot of the instructors will say, you know, sometimes they'll put out their course, the name, the title of it, and they don't even know exactly what they're going to teach yet. They just know they're going to teach this. They put their package together, they put it out, and then they learn actually from the people who are coming to them. Yeah. Especially in their, if they do an interview in the beginning with the people, they learn from them what is needed, and then they tailor whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great way to do it. Thank you.
Who's starting to talk?
Is that Gregory?
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yes. No, actually, I'm fine. Trina, thank you very much. It was really wonderful. It was good information.
Thank you.
And I like your presentation. Very nice. Of course, you're kind of a little bit experienced, aren't you?
A little bit. And to tell you the truth, getting up and doing these kind of classes, you know, over Zoom and to different groups like that is something a little bit new and different for me. Most of my experience is teaching in classes, giving presentations from the stage, political rallies. So I'm learning and growing all the time too. And you all bless me by showing up and giving me an opportunity to perfect me a little bit more. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I appreciate you attending.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. Are there any other questions here before we sign off? No. Okay. Well, I did record this, so I will let everyone know once I have it up on YouTube or wherever. And I want to thank you all for being a part of the Woman's Way program. And Tyna, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your love with us. And hopefully we'll see you next month. So bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.